All right, y'all, we're gonna check out this boudoir photographer. Gonna see if their local search and their city search, if they got BSS for either of those searches. We only got one search for them today. We're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city, utilizing our North Star as always, FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that. Check the pinned post, home video, wherever you're at. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. And if someone's bringing in, their boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the left side, the highest intent, all the way to the right side, the lowest intent. Peeps all coming in, or at least becoming aware of their business. And if a boudoir photography business is falling, more than likely some chunk here along this intent spectrum is missing. We're missing out on those people. So over on the left, we got the highest intent people. That's what we're talking about here with these videos, talking about BSS. These are people, social search on social media, and Google search for like boudoir photographers in their city or boudoir photo shoots in their city. And highest intent people, closest to the money, highest conversion. And over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps, and it's actually going to be the highest volume of people. And we're talking about those on our sister brand called Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a niche problem there. And currently we're only working with boudoir photographers over there, running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, on to BSS, boudoir search sameness. So this one, a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1, I mean, we're on page 2 or deeper. I mean, we're dead. At that point, we're dead because we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never make it to page 2. So the people searching never even click to go to page 2. They are page 1 searches only, page 1 searchers only. As a result, this is who we got to get in front of. This is who we care about. We don't care about the 20%. They're going 10 pages deep. Don't care. We care about the 80%, the bulk of the market. So 0 slots, no bueno. 1 slot, also no bueno, because, there's 10 organic slots on page 1. If there's 9 other boudoir photographers, it's basically, 1 slot for each. And guess what? A buyer, everyone looks the same. Buyer's just going to be clicking down through. And, basically price shopping everyone, price comparing everyone, driving the price into the ground. So, we're not even seen as anything special. We got 1 slot on page 1. Buyers don't see much of a difference between us and the other peeps. So it's literally like, we got BSS, we got a problem. And that's because 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Common, yes. Accepted, yes. Not normal, no. It is not normal to have so few number of page 1 links on Google. It's accepted, but it's not normal. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, market saturation, and 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Basically, everyone knows what market saturation is. Seems like every week someone's getting a new iPhone, throwing out their Google My Business profile, throwing out their website saying they now do boudoir photo shoots, competing with us for page 1, ranking on page 1. And then, or someone getting a new camera and then they're posting in the mom Facebook groups that they now do boudoir photo shoots as well. So that's market saturation. Also, big market saturation happened during COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, couldn't work, couldn't earn money, but still need to earn money. And guess what? Everyone's got a smartphone with a great camera on it. So very easy for tons of boudoir photographers to enter the market, which means an increase in supply, increase in sellers. For the same number of buyers, demand remains the same. And guess what? We are making it harder for every buyer or every seller to get buyers if there's more sellers than the same number of buyers. And the biggest thing, though, here's number 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this false belief, page 1 equality, is when people incorrectly believe that, every boudoir photographer gets either, 0 or 1 slots on page 1, and when they, basically when they, a new boudoir photographer comes in, maybe they're on page 1, originally they're on page 1, a new boudoir photographer gets ranked above, then they get kicked off to page 2, and they're thinking, oh, that's simply how it is, hopefully that person deletes their website. Maybe Google will put me back on page 1. So it's basically this acceptance that there's not really much that can be done. No, incorrect, false. I know this for a fact. Google will actually give as many page 1 slots to any boudoir photographer who wants to put in the work to acquire them without paying for Google ads. And I know that because I actually went from 0 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google to 9 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google in 10 days using this new methodology that I invented. So false place page one inequality. The first thing is to realize it's false, and we actually can take as many page one slots on Google as we want, which kind of like punches through kind of this brain box we were in. It allows us to see outside. Oh, and outside we do have one solution finally coming up in 2 pictures. But right now, we know that boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So yeah, if we got 0 slots on page one, we're disappearing because approximately 80% of the marketplace that searches on Google ain't never finding us on page 2 or deeper. Also, for page one slot on Google Organic, we're basically looking the same as everyone else. It's gonna be price shopped with like 9 other boudoir photographers, driving margins down, and just really screwing everything up for us. So disappearing boudoir photographer, this one they have BSS, and that's because it's the canary in the coal mine. This is the first sign, kind of the first flag that eventually the boudoir photography business will be disappearing down the line as well. But luckily, we now have the solution. So we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology, and we know this because we invented it and we've already used it for ourselves. Now, S cubed methodology, that's exactly what it said. It's exactly its name, social search saturation. We're going to saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, buyer keywords. So we pop up there. So buyer search there, find us first. It's kind of like the backside, the small streams and small rivers of the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. And these all flow into the large Amazon River. The large Amazon River is Google page one. So if we successfully social search saturate, then we'll be rewarded with as many slots on page one of Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And as a result, we actually, this is actually the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that's able to stave off and actually allow boudoir photography business to continue to grow without, even in the face of market saturation, even in the face of massive market saturation. Now, the only other thing that could do this is brand, but that takes like 5 to 10 years to, assemble. We ain't got that time anymore. AI is coming to take people's jobs. We literally got to get maximum distribution, kind of a maximum digital land grab now, ASAP. And so, for SQ methodology, outcompeting market saturation, allowing us to continue to grow even in the face of it. Let's say we're in Chicago. There's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website saying they're a boudoir photographer, all trying to rank page one on Google, and we are saying, okay, the only way for us to successfully compete is we got to crank SQ methodology to the max. That's exactly what we do. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, and we take like the first 300 slots across all social networks for, let's say for those highest intent keywords. Now, let's also say this now flows onto Google, the Amazon River, and we're taking up the first 300 organic slots, Google organic search for those keywords as well. And every page on Google is 10 organic slots. So we're basically working on, taking over 30 first 30 pages of Google. So essentially for anyone to find our competitors, they literally got to scroll 300 places on social search or Google search. They got to go to page 31 on Google search. And dude, if approximately 20% of peeps are going to a Google page 2, basically ain't no one going to Google page 31. And so whenever a buyer searches their high intent buyer keywords, then what happens is we show up everywhere, and basically kicked all of our competitors out of the building. So even though there's a million boudoir photographers in Chicago, whose business is growing? Ours, because we cranked S-cubed methodology to the max, took over all the search real estate, social search, Google search, for the first 300 slots. And like our business growing, everyone else disappeared. They're disappearing. They can't successfully compete with us. And so again, this is why I said this and this happens a lot faster than brand. That's why I said it's the only thing I've seen that can successfully outcompete market saturation and continue to grow boudoir photography business. That doesn't require ads, because ads, their momentum goes to zero once you stop spending. SQ methodology has a momentum to it. It's not infinity momentum, but it's way more momentum than zero momentum once you stop spending on it. Now, once you're with execute methodology, we have page one visibility, a bonus kind of an initial benefit. Get more slots on Google. We're also kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one of Google, effectively making them invisible. They're relegated to page two or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of boudoir or of Google searches never even reach page two. They're page one searchers only. So we're kicking them far to the five buyers, ain't even gonna see them. So that's an initial benefit. In addition to us getting more slots, we're getting price shopped against way less people because 4 out of 5 boudoir searchers ain't going to page two anyway. Approximately 4 out of 5. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. This is where we actually want to. This is where our GBC recommended. You know, we want to hit. GBC recommends a minimum of 3 out of 10 Google page one slots. So 3 out of 10, and as a result, we feel like that's where we can comfortably say, all right, well, most likely at least treading water here, maintaining, most likely not disappearing. And the highest probability is we're actually growing the business once we're getting 3 out of 10. And 3 out of 10, if everyone else is one slot, man, a boudoir buyer seeing us with 3, they're gonna be like, why does Google keep recommending this person over and over and over again? They may only click us and not even click any of our competitors on that search. And then there's always a tiny, tiny, tiny chance someone will have 2 slots. So if we get to 3 out of 10 slots, we're good. It's basically like, if we get 3 out of 10, we're basically dominating 99.9% of all cases. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So it's our full universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality, previously unknown false belief, page one equality. But finally, thankfully, we have a solution. Thank the universe. We got SQL methodology now. We achieve page one visibility, and we become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. So it's our micro universe here. Now we're going to check out my results using SQL methodology. So I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So I went and I used SQL methodology, social search saturation, and see organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I did this in 10 days, went from 0 out of 10 slots Google page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots Google page 1. And this was purely using our S-cubed methodology. All right, main event here. You can see that this boudoir photography business has BSS for their local and city search, but it looks like they got one search here. So we're combining the local and city. We're also going to see if they hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google search. All right, so DeLand, Florida. All right, we're here. All right, we got one slot. And yeah, one slot. Two slots, okay. That boudoir's in kind of the body text, smaller. But all right, we'll give you 2 slots here. All right, so we got 2 out of 10 slots, so good. So we do not have BSS, boudoir search sameness. We got 2 out of 10 slots, but we did not hit the recommended GBC. GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots in our search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done a local search for the highest intent keywords for buyers in your city, in your local area and your city, and you're seeing you've got boudoir search sameness, either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. You're not hitting the GBC to minimum on page 2. And you understand, you kind of broken through the brain barrier that, yeah, page 1 equality, that's a false belief, and we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want. And you've also seen market saturation. Yeah, more people getting more iPhones, new iPhones, get new cameras who come with boudoir photographers. But you also see AI going to be taking more and more people's jobs, leading into way more boudoir photographers coming into the market. and you say, oh man, I got to prepare for this big supply side shock that's coming. And we can do that by, and you're saying, oh, S-cubed methodology, perfect. That's perfect for that. It allows us to saturate social search, which then allows, as a result, allows us to saturate page one Google search for the highest intent keywords. So basically anywhere any buyer searches, we are dominating kind of the attention space there. And so you've seen S-cubed methodology. You want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility. You want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 on all of the, on all of the local search and city search. And so you're seeing S-cubed methodology is what you want to utilize. And you're also seeing kind of the extra bonuses on the back end. Kind of more thematic keyword columns that we create that we use S-cubed methodology around the highest intent keywords, then the higher the probability that we get ranked here for AI overview for local search and city search, kind of as the only featured prominent one, because this is pulling from, thematic keyword kind of repetition, authority, age. So higher chance of achieving that with S-cubed methodology kind of as a back-end bonus, and higher chance of showing up in AI search. I actually have an AI search on the back-end ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. Because I remember last time I checked for boudoir photographers in the city, dude, it only brought up 3. So if we get our kind of our thematic keyword columns created attached to our brand, then a higher chance we show up in Google, all these AI searches. And as a result, kind of some back-end bonus. Also, the more we do S-cubed methodology, kind of more momentum we build up against anyone else, any other boudoir photographers competing against us in our current city. So my plan right now is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So we can build up all that distance, all that momentum, all these front end benefits, obviously, saturating social search and Google page one search, kicking other boudoir photographers off. Also the back end momentum, higher recommendations, AI overview, Google search, and AI, all the different AI searches in general. And as a result, you're saying, hey, probably should be a first mover on this because someone else is a first mover in our city, then, and since my plan is to work with only one person per city on this at a time, then if you weren't working with me, you have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, kind of our proprietary method. And then even when you don't know if you're doing it exactly right, or exactly as we've derived it, then you have to equal our execution to maintain the gap between your competitor and your competitor who I could be working with. And you'd actually have to double or triple our capacity to kind of make up all the momentum we would have already achieved. And so you're like, all right, it's better to simply, be first mover on this, get prepared for AI, to force some more boudoir photographers into the market. And so you're like, all right, S-cubed methodology is what I need. I'm ready to go now. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open. I'm currently not open for new patient intake, but I will let you know when I am. The hospital's not currently open for new patient intake, but when I do open the hospital, keep watching these videos. That'll tell you actually when the hospital's open. Shoot us a DM and we'll see if you qualify for S-cubed methodology.